My name is Becca Boland. I am the iREAD Content and Development Manager. Today we are going to do a deep dive of the resource guide. Um, what I need you all to know and understand about this is that, um, hold on, stop. This is going to be the bus tour. Um, so this is everything that I'm covering here is going to be quick, fast, and to the point. If you find anything that I'm talking about interesting, it is I'm including page numbers and also sections of the resource guide. There's even some places where I've shown how you access the documents within the files that you already have. So if you want to play along, you can go ahead and get your resource guide out and ready. Otherwise, if you want to take quick notes, you can make note of the page numbers. I will be sharing both the slides and the recording. It should be ready to go by Wednesday, but absolutely it will be to you by the end of the week at the latest. So let's do this. Level up at your library 2025. We're doing a resource guide deep dive. Today we're focusing on programming, crafts, maker ideas, resource guide tips and tricks. We are doing another deep dive that talks about decorations and some other stuff that's happening in January. We would love to have you a part of that if you are so inclined. At the beginning of the guide is a using this guide page. It's in getting started. It breaks down how the resource guide is organized, as well as the letters that you're going to see at the top of different programs and information about what age group we feel that it is best for. These are guidelines, not rules. So if you want to adapt it for a different age group, oh my gosh, please do. That's awesome. It's amazing. Make it happen. This is, though, based on what the person who submitted the program and the committee members that worked on it, they think that it's the best age for. If hopefully that makes sense. Look at that beautiful art. There's so much beautiful art this year, you all. Okay, we're going to start with chapter 2A, which is articles. I feel like a lot of the time people skip over this section, and it's a shame because there is some amazing content here, and it's really in depth and like ready to go for you to implement in your libraries. The first thing I want to point you toward is the book crawl that's on page 97. This is out of Prince George County in Maryland. They are a countywide system, so the way that they approach summer reading is a little different than some other folks, but I really think that this can be adapted to any community. Basically, they worked with local businesses to do bingo, to do name that tune. The way that they do name that tune is so fun. And apparently every year now it just grows and grows and grows because people love it so very much. They do trivia and they do it in different places. They do it in breweries, they do it in cafes, they do it throughout their community so that they are both supporting their community. They're doing things outside of the library in an effort to be in places where people might not have as easy access to the libraries. It's so cool. Highly, highly recommend taking a peek at this. There is a whole article that the Games and Gaming Roundtable of ALA wrote for us on page 99. It has information about how to start gaming in your library, how to start circulating games, the defense of games. So if you have any pushback from anyone in your library or a board member or a community member about the benefits of gaming and specifically gaming in the library, they have got you covered. They have ideas for programming. They have reviews of games. They have just, it's like a one-stop shop for all things game. If you are not a huge gaming person, this is a great place to start to just kind of get a baseline of knowledge. And then it also has the resources to do the kind of programming that you might like to do that you might not have the skills or the knowledge to do. It's a really amazing resource, and they've been so kind and generous with information, and there's a ton of links in it. So much good stuff in that article. On page 103 is Build Your Character by Kathleen Mercury, as part of Guardian Adventures. Um, it is a really, really cool log. And it can be the main log, it can be a supplemental log. It's really up to you, but it's totally different than anything I've ever seen before. So basically, you get these character sheets, and you're using the books that you've read to create a character for a role-playing game. And how you want to use that within the library is totally up to you. You can use it to actually play a game. There are some ideas to have like a quick game at the desk when you're having your summer reading interaction. Um, but this is so cool because you're taking parts of the books that you've read, and you're creating a character based out of all of these different aspects of all of these different characters that you've read and you've loved throughout the summer. And then you can use those in a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or something else. And she has all of it in there, how to use it, how to implement it, different ways to think about it, and the PDFs of um, those character sheets are part of your PDF downloads as well. Level Up at Your Library Dungeons and Dragons campaign is on page 106. That's where it starts. It is long. It is a full campaign. It was created by Maisie Ivan, who is the chair of the 2025 committee. So Level Up at Your Library is their program. They start with talking a little bit about how to start D&D work in your library. And then they've done this one shot, which means it can be just done. It doesn't have to come over multiple interactions, multiple meetings. Um, for D&D, and it is to help kids learn the Dewey Decimal System. And I just wanted to show you, they have done all of this original beautiful art that aligns with this one shot that they've created, and you can see 500s. We're talking Dewey Decimal here. And I'm just like blown away. They play tested it with their teens at the library and did some edits based on their teens' feedback. So this is just, we've never had anything like this before, and it's so cool and so exciting. So I wanted to make sure you all were aware that it's there. Okay, NASA provided a bunch of really cool program ideas for us, and a lot of them are gamified. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Um, the cool thing about NASA, and something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize, is that it's more than just space. They also do a lot of looking at our globe, our Earth, um, and the ways that we can make it better. In terms of environmental impacts and that sort of thing. So they have all of these cool Globe Observer toolkits, ideas of things that you can do as community scientists. And they have it all laid out as if you want to do a passive program, if you want to do it as a circulating kit, if you want to do it as an active program, do a walk, do a something like that. Um, and they have all of these ideas of how to plan, what to look for, what to focus on, depending on what you're doing with your library. It's really, really, really cool resources that are beneficial to the community and the world at large. And a lot of them you can make into a kind of like a puzzle game. If you feel the need to connect all of your programming to the theme, I like to remind people that you don't have to have all of the programming you do connect to the theme, unless you really want to. I think that Level Up at Your Library is a really great one for that, because it's pretty easy to come up with or use the resource guide to fill your entire summer with games and puzzles. But just a reminder that we don't have any kind of rules about the way that you implement your programs in your library. So you can make this gamified, but you could also just do it because it's really cool, a really amazing STEM activity, and it's great for all ages. And it's great for multi-generational programming as well. We are partners with Summer Scares, which is under the umbrella of the Horror Writers Association of America. Every year they do a program booklet that has ideas for these kind of spooky, scary summertime books. I don't know about you all, but horror was getting really, really big at my library. There was a lot of demand for it. I was having more and more people ask for it. And one of the really cool things is with this partnership, they are going to make sure that they choose books for every summer, at least one in each category that aligns with the iRead theme. So there will be something gamey and puzzly for all of the ages next summer in 2025. Um, and that program guide comes out later in the year, but I just wanted to make sure people were aware of it because it also includes just book discussions and that sort of thing. So it's really programming that's ready to go. So that is Summer Scares. Reading Dragons. We are doing another webinar like this one in January with the women that created the Reading Dragons program, as well as Carrie Peach. Carrie Peach, please excuse me. I'm so sorry. Carrie Peach created art for Reading Dragons for iRead specifically. If you're not familiar with Reading Dragons, it's a Pokemon-like collecting program specifically for libraries that is aligned with a reading tracker, and the kids are able to collect the cards as they read. And then there's all kinds of programming and games and that sort of thing that you can do with it. I'm so excited for this. They wrote up this whole amazing how to guide that includes ideas about doing programming in your library if you wanted to do a full program around it and not just use it as a reading log. All of these different ideas of different ways that folks have used this program. And I think it's so, so cool. I'm so excited for them to talk about it and how to implement it with you all, and also for you all to hear Carrie's thoughts and kind of how she approached doing the art for this. Just so cool. All right, we're going to move on to chapter 2B, which is partner contributions, excuse me. We're really lucky that this year we had a number of different organizations share resources with us that we could then share with you. And you are going to find all of the files in your the first download of your resource guide in the partner program files. So the in the resource guide, it's going to be on page 189 where it starts. But if you're looking for the actual files, those are going to be in a separate folder. And that's just something to remember. I know sometimes people have said, like, it's really hard to get the image out of the resource guide. Yes, it is, which is why we provide them as individual files to make life easier for you. So these are some of the examples of the partner contributions that we have. Creative Bug made this amazing chatterbox. Sometimes it's called a fortune teller. And that's great for passive programming. It's a great activity to have folks do as they're coming into a program if you want something to keep them busy. One Card Maze is also really great for that. It's this really cool like card index card size maze where you have to kind of flip it around and there's rules about how you move, and it's library focused, but they have a ton of different one card mazes that you can download and share. And then Dearnicorn shared this amazing guide to tabletop RPGs, role-playing games for libraries and schools. It has how to get started, great RPGs to use if you're a first-time role play person. I don't know what the proper term for that is. Role player. whatever. Um, Everything you need is there, and they also have a lot of ideas for role-playing games that aren't necessarily Dungeons and Dragons. Um, which could be really cool too, for folks that are might be into the concept of role-playing games, but Dungeons and Dragons doesn't appeal to them, or for libraries who are just looking to expand people's universe in terms of what's available in terms of tabletop gaming. We also had publishers share a lot of their educational resources with us. Scales and Tales is this really great book that is a guide to role-playing games for younger readers. But as someone who might not know a ton about role-playing games, this is a great, like, quick resource to just get some information about um, how to do role-playing games. You can also build an entire program around this book specifically, if you are so inclined. There's activity sheets, there's activities, there's ideas. You could do a little RPG. Super, super, super fun. Um, we also have some Rube Goldberg building ideas. If you're not familiar with Rube Goldberg, it is, or you don't recognize it by name, it's a complex machine that is built to do something simple. So, for example, trying to think, um, like a ball rolls down and hits a hammer, and the hammer hits a lever, and the lever hits the toaster, and the toaster pops the toast up. Something like that. That's a terrible example. They're much better at it. There are all kinds of examples of how you can build Rube Goldbergs. You can play with the kind of mousetrap idea if you want to go like super gamey. Basically, the game of mousetrap is a Rube Goldberg. To catch a mouse. And they have a lot of really cool resources. They have this new book called The Big Book of Building that is just come out recently. It's something you might want to add to your collection prior to next summer, or grab to use as programming ideas. Um, Programming section 3A is programs, events, presentations, and story times. That is where we are headed next. There are so many ideas of board game design programs in here. It's everything from like build your own board games for littles to build your own board games for teens and adults. It's different ways to use those board games, having another program where people come and play them. It's resources of like basic board gaming pieces that you could use when you're creating a board game. There are, as you can see here, there are multiple pages of ideas about board game creation and how to use that in programming. And it can be as little as like a one-time drop-in kind of event to something that happens, over the course of a week, or once a week over the course of multiple weeks, or that sort of thing, kind of depending on how intense you want to get with it, and what kind of engagement you have with your patrons and the community. There are just so many really, really great ideas here. You can also just kind of combine them all and make them into whatever works best for your library. I know for me, when I read through things like this, sometimes I pick like one thing from one piece, one thing from another piece, something from something else, and then something that I kind of find my own either on the internet or from my brain or from talking with my colleagues, and kind of mishmash, patch together a program from other people's ideas. Again, there's not rules to how you use this guide. So if you're looking at these programs and you're like, that's really cool, but I would do it this way or that way, that's totally cool and totally fine. Adjust it in any way that you see fit for your library. So we have 3 different book explorers programs. And these are really, really fun ways to take books that already have kind of a gaming puzzle theme, um, and make it into a larger program. And it breaks down how to do it with each of these books. You could also read all three of these and then say, hey, you know what? This book is really popular at my library, Game On or whatever. Maybe I'd like to do that. These are all for kids, but maybe I want to take this concept and bump it up a notch and do this program with teens. Um, and the other great thing is that it includes links to the author's website and resources they have as well. So it's just all encompassing. I know that in every library that I've been at, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library has been a fan favorite, as well as Cardboard Kingdom and that whole series by Chad Sell. I'm not familiar with Sasquatch Escape, but the name has me and I'm in, and I would really like to read it. So I'm putting it on my to read list. Um, Choose Your Own Adventure live action game. They have it here for littles, which I think is really, really fun. It's kind of a this or that based program, like which side would you choose? But I think that you could scale this up to do like an actual choose your own adventure kind of story time where like the kids choose what happens next. So, like, oh, I don't know, do you want to read the book that's in box A or box B? And they all vote for B, and you pull it out and then you read that book and then you say, oh, we're going to sing a song. Are we going to sing the red song or the blue song? And they choose the blue song. And you could do kind of a choose your own adventure um, program based on this idea. And then you could always throw the this or that kind of thing into it. I also think this or that is kind of a fun way to do an icebreaker. I find that it works pretty well with teens because they don't necessarily have to talk to each other. But they all have very strong opinions. So like to kick off a program to do a this or that of like, I don't know, coffee or tea or sweets or savory or whatever the case may be, it just like gets people moving. It's a great way to kind of kick things off. But I think it also is a great seed of an idea to build other ideas on. And that's really something that I encourage folks to do when they're reading through the resource guide or paging through the resource guide is think about like, oh, this is a really cool concept. This isn't how I would do it though. Like I want it to be more whatever. And it's like, okay, well, cool. Like how would I make that happen? How would I use the skills and ideas that I already have? How will I use my knowledge of my patrons and my community to build these programs? Oh my word, there are so many coding ideas in here. Everything from actual coding on a computer to coding without screens to there's just like coding clubs. There are so many ideas about coding, coding your own video games, making a game out of coding, to kind of give kids the idea of, how coding works, or doesn't work, as the case may be. There's so much coding content in here. If you've been meaning to do some sort of a coding program, or you would like to do some sort of a coding program, you don't need a set of computers to do it. You can absolutely do it analog. And B, it works for all ages. You can do it for families, you can do it for younger kids, you can do it for teens. I used to, through Girls Who Code, I had teens that came and taught coding in my library monthly, and like they wanted to do it. They were so excited to do it, and I did very little more than like make sure they had the space and the resources that they need. Um, and it was great. So Girls Who Code is also, I don't know if anyone mentions it in any of these. I don't remember off the top of my head because, like I said, there's a lot of coding content here, but that's another resource for you. Okay, escape rooms. Um, I love escape rooms because you can make them as big or as small as you want or need them to be. I've done escape rooms where it's like a locked box on a table, and everyone sitting at the table is working together to try to get into that locked box. I've also created escape rooms that take up an entire meeting room and are there for a week or more. And you have times where people come and go through it. I've had teens help me work on them. I've had staff work on them. You can make them really big for adults. We actually did an after hours, a couple of after hours rounds of our escape room that were just for people that were 18 and over so that they could come and not have to worry about um, being in a group with littles. Some people are fine with that, some people not so much. And also when you're creating these escape rooms, when you're reading about these escape rooms, remember that in the crafting section, there's a bunch of ideas for different crafts and things that you can make that you can then put inside of your escape room. So this is a cipher wheel. It's on page 426 of the crafting section. And you can make one of these and then use it as clues in your resource, in your escape room. So remember that there are other places in the resource guide that you can pull from to bring a whole program together. So just a thought there. Again, just pages and pages of escape room ideas. Fandom fight. I thought this was so funny and cool. I think there's an actual like tabletop game that is um kind of similar to this, um and it might be called Fandom Fight, but it might be called something else. But to have this as part of a con, or again, just a way to kick off a program while you're kind of waiting for everybody to come in and get settled. I think it's really fun to have these kind of conversations. Kids are get really into them, and the things that they think about are just like amazing and hilarious. So yeah, like who would Superman beat Batman in a fight? I don't know. What I mean, there's a lot to discuss there. Would Superman beat Batman in a game of exploding kittens? What about checkers or Jenga or Connect Four? Um, and and like I said, you can make this as part of a larger event. This could definitely be a passive kind of thing where you put it up on a bulletin board or you put it up on a dry erase board or you put up stickers and you say, who would win in a fight? You have Batman on one side and Superman on the other side, and people can put up stickers to decide, or they can write their responses. So this can be an actual like physical part of a program thing, or it can be passive. It can go either way. And I think that's the case for a lot of the stuff that we have in the resource guide, that with just a couple of tweaks, you can make it a passive program or something that's interactive within your library, within your decorations. Hexabug maze. I think this is really fun. You build a maze for a hexabug. I would like to say that I think it would also be fun to have um, your patrons build bristlebots and then have them run those through the maze because they can tweak them and adjust them to maneuver the maze in a more efficient or strategic kind of way. And then you have that STEM component of they're building this little robot, and then they have to make adjustments for it to do what you want it to do. But if you just want something quick and simple, the hexabug works great as well. And either way, you can do it on the floor with some cardboard, you can do it in a box. You just want it to have enough of something that the hexabug can't like crawl over it, right? And I love the idea of making some dead ends so that the hexabug has to like truly find its way out. I think this is such a fun and cool concept. It has them building robots, it has them building mazes. And again, you can make this as complex. You can make it a multi-part program. It's really up to you. I would go to a tabletop gaming convention at a library in a freaking heartbeat. I think that this is so cool. It's going to take a lot of work, but it's a great way to show off if you have in-library games that people can use. If you have circulating board games, it's a great way to debut some of those games and kind of do a playthrough. There are so many how to play tutorials online that you can print them out, or you can put a QR code on the table that has a quick video of a walkthrough of the game. I have used teen volunteers to come in and learn games so that if people come to the program and they haven't come with someone else, they have someone to play games with. There's so many ways that you can do this. You can set up a video game station, you can have an RPG place. There are so many different types of games. Um, Please, 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 if nothing else, next summer, expose your patrons and your community to games that maybe they haven't heard of before. Um, you know, Monopoly destroys families, yet it's on almost Emily every family's board game shelf. And there are so many amazing games out there. Um, and this is another great resource that we can provide to our communities. I don't know, I've gotten very into board games in the last few years, and they're amazing and gorgeous, and there truly is something for everybody. I thought I didn't like board games, and it turns out I just wasn't playing the right ones. A jigsaw puzzle competition. Oh my word. So this is so fun. You can see here, this is a picture from the Rolling Meadows Park District, which is Rolling Meadows is in Illinois, and they took images from their community and they made a puzzle, and everyone in the competition got the same puzzle. And then they start a timer, and sometimes people work in teams, sometimes people work alone, and then basically it's like as you finish, you get placed on the leaderboard. Maybe there's prizes. Maybe the prizes that they get to keep the game. Maybe you keep the game. It doesn't have to be a custom puzzle. It can be a puzzle that you get multiple copies of from wherever, Target, Amazon, wherever you get your supplies from. But I think this is a really cool idea. And if you're the kind of library that has a makerspace and a Cricut where you could make a custom jigsaw, that would be really cool too. You might have a competition to have somebody create the jigsaw that you then use for the jigsaw competition. Or there's plenty of places where you can send out photos and have jigsaws made, and they're not super duper expensive, but again, and maybe their prize is they get to take the game or the puzzle home at the end. Maybe you keep the puzzles so you can do this a few more times. Um, you can make it really intense and like a true competition, or you can be just kind of like a fun, everybody's hanging out doing puzzles thing. It's up to you. You know what your community wants and needs, but I just think this is really fun. And I never really heard of jigsaw competitions before the last year. And I think it's cool, right? Yeah. Y'all, would it be a summer if Lego isn't involved in some way, shape, or form? I don't know that it would be. And of course, the beauty of Lego is it can be whatever you want it to be, right? So you can make games from Lego pieces, you can make mazes, you can make marble runs, all of that kind of fun, gamified stuff you can do with Lego. So there's pages and pages of Lego ideas. It's possible you don't need more Lego ideas. Super fun and great. Maybe you read these and you think, oh, we did something like that, but I think it would work better if we do it this way. Super great. So much Lego, all the Lego. Um, we have pages and pages of life-size board game ideas. Candyland is, I think, kind of the gold standard. I think most libraries have done some sort of a Candyland live action life-size thing if they've done a life-size board game. But you don't have to stop at Candyland, although there are some really cool ideas in here about how to make props and that sort of thing for a live action Candyland. But you could also do something like Clue. Um, you can do Shoots and Ladders. You can do um, you can do anything. I think you can do just about anything. All of your favorites, I think, can be made into big sized, life-sized board games. Um, and really any excuse for me to use this particular quote from Clue will be used. So Enjoy. A maze drawing workshop. So I don't know if kids have had the opportunity to take a piece of graph paper and try to make a maze out of it. Um, it was an activity that I really loved when I was young. And I think that it is something that is so quick and so easy. And you can, again, you can do it as a full program, or you can do it to kick off a program. You can take the mazes that were created and have them out for people to do throughout the summer. It You can challenge them to do a circular maze or a different shaped maze. You can do it with things in your community. So have so and so get from their house to the library, and you draw the maze that looks like that. Or have one of the characters from the art that we provide has to get to this school, or town square or downtown, or whatever the case may be. um Making mazes is really fun, and I think that it requires a part of our brain that we don't necessarily use all the time. And I think this would be fun for adults. It would be really, really cool to have adults come in and create a maze that you can share with the community, but also that like they can share with their families, with their friends. Because sometimes you're like, "Oh, that sounds really fun, but I don't know what I'm gonna do that." So you sign up for a library program and you go and you have an hour or 2 to work on this thing. Um, I don't know. I think this is really fun, and I think that it can happen at any size library with any budget. Murder mystery program. Again, this is one that can be any age group. I know that when I was a teenager, my friends and I used to buy those like murder mystery in a box things, and we would have a murder mystery night when I was a teenager. My teens at my previous libraries have all loved to do programming like this. It's fun. You get those theater kids that love to dress up and act, and are happy to be a part of being dramatic. But even for an adult event, you could do it after hours. Um, it would be a really fun, inexpensive, like go out with a friend and do a thing, or go with your partner and do a thing. I think you could scale it up or down depending on um who you want to aim this particular program at. And then also you can kind of do the thing like with the D&D program where you sneak in like, oh, this is how the Dewey Decimal System works, or these are the different parts of the library, or highlighting certain parts of your collection. We're really good at sneaking that library stuff into our programs. Book character scavenger hunt. This is really fun. So this is something you're going to find the PDFs for in your programming PDFs, um, under programming event presentations down under book character scavenger hunt. You can do this as a true scavenger hunt. Um, these shadow kind of characters are really fun for decorations. You could decorate a desk or something with it as well. Um, but I don't know about y'all and your libraries, but I know at my library, my public library where I go with my family, they always have some sort of scavenger hunt going, and it's great because my kids will like want to be at the library for a little while longer, but they will have chosen their books already, and maybe a friend shows up at the library, and they can run around and do the scavenger hunt, and then you give a bookmark or a sticker or something when they complete it. And this one has the fun added bonus of these kind of like shadow characters, and then you find the actual picture of some of these favorite characters throughout the library. Everybody loves a scavenger hunt. RPGs, also known as role-playing games, D&D at the library. This talks about how if you want to start a D&D game at your library library, but you might not know someone who can do that, or you don't have the resources to start yet. Now's the time to start thinking about that because it gives you plenty of time to try to figure it out or find people that can help you figure it out. Whether it might be a local game store, somebody, I'm sure I would put money on the fact that there are teens at your local high school that are playing D&D and would love to help you run a program for younger kids. Um, so it's all everything you need. Everything you need is here, including ideas for RPGs that may not be Dungeons and Dragons. More scavenger hunts. We have Mario scavenger hunts. We have Pokemon scavenger hunts. There are a ton of scavenger hunts. You should be pretty good for scavenger hunts all summer long in your library. Um, so check those out. Um, don't forget that there are full story times in the resource guide. Books, activities, songs, all of it is there. So I don't, summer times are busy, but you're still doing all the same amounts of story times that you do the rest of the year. So having a couple that are already done for you, easy peasy. And you can switch out books. Like that's not a big deal. But if you have the foundation, the structure of the story time ready to go, that's half the battle. So don't forget that those are there. Okay. Um, I loved doing interactive screenings at my library with movies. We've done what have I done? I've done Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I've done Harry Potter, I've done Fault in Our Stars. That was a fun one. There was lots of Kleenex involved in that one. Um, Super Mario Brothers interactive movie, it doesn't get any better. It's fun. I mean, I think if you go to just about any kid and you say peaches, peaches, this is what's going to happen. At least all of the kids that I know. Um, interactive movies, and there's a lot of resources for interactive movies online already, where all of the supplies, everything that you need to do are already created for you, and you just need to put them in bags and have them ready. It's fun for families. My teens used to love it. Oh, we did Hunger Games. Um, and quite frankly, they're fun to plan. If you wanted to plan one from scratch, I used to sit with my colleagues and we would watch the movie and we would kind of take note of things that we could do interactively. Is that a word? I don't know. You know what I mean. Um, and so that's really fun too. But if you don't have the time or the energy or the skills or the want to create that from scratch, you've got it in the resource guide. If you aren't watching Taskmaster, might I suggest it for a delightful holiday binge? It's all on YouTube. There's 18 seasons, so you'll go really far with it. I was actually going to write this up and then we had it submitted from somebody else. I was so excited. It's a very silly show where a bunch of British comedians. There's the same comedians throughout each individual season, and the taskmaster gives them these very silly tasks that they have to do. And a lot of them are timed. And it's very silly and it's very fun. Like get this ball to into that basket, but you can't cross this line and you have to use the tools that are available to you. I don't know that I'm describing it super great, but it's hilarious and fun. And even people who aren't familiar with the show would definitely have fun at a program like this if you write it up the right way. Taste test challenge. Oh, my image went away. There he is. There's John Green. So I think this is really fun. It's one of those like, can you really taste the difference between a generic Oreo and a brand name Oreo? Can you tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi? Um, can you trying to think of other ones. There's so many things like that, where you could do fun taste tests. I know that not everybody can do um food at their libraries, and I get that. But it's also something you could write up to do like a family test at home, put it on your activity log for the summer, do a family taste test. Um, can you tell the difference between Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper, that kind of thing. Fun, silly, easy, great. Zoom and guessing game. Uh, these I've used definitely for bulletin boards and passive programming. Um, can anybody tell what this is? I can't see the chat, so you can say just about anything and I'll be like, yeah, good, go on. I bet there are people that can tell what this is. But I just think they're fun. And you can do it like a lift the flap kind of a thing where you have it on your end caps and you have a picture like this and you lift it up and it says pencil. That's right. It's part of a pencil. You got it. Um, Also, we create puzzles and coloring pages. We have word searches, we have color by numbers, we have scrambled words, we have crossword puzzles, we have all kinds of fun games, mazes, from for littles to more challenging things. These can be printed out and used for activity sheets around your library, for passive programming as a way to get things again just at the beginning of a program or an end of a program as you're wrapping things up. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have done it. Print out our coloring pages, please. Okay, DIY crafts and maker projects. Design your own carrying case. I thought this was so cute. And I love that it can be like for an electronic game, like a Switch or something like that. But it can also be for like your deck of cards or your favorite travel game or whatever the case may be. It can be a dice bag. It can be all kinds of stuff. You can do it with felt, you can do it with crochet, you can do it with knitting. There's so many different ways, and it's so useful. And knowing how to make a little bag is never a bad thing. Design your own trading cards. So if you are doing the Reading Dragons program, even if you're not, you can have kids make their own trading cards. I think that these are super cute. You can be super, super design heavy and do them on the computer. You can give them a blank card and they can draw it. There's a lot of resources on how to make your own cards and that sort of thing, especially for different types of fandoms. Um, I think this is such a cool and fun idea. And it gives kids a way to like embrace and get excited about something that they already love, but then have their own kind of creative way of making it happen and taking it a little bit further. I just thought this was so cute. These dragon eggs are so stinking cute, and they are nothing more than thumbtacks in a styrofoam egg that have the thumbtacks have been painted with nail polish. So cheap, so easy, such a big bang for your buck, especially if you're doing any sort of D&D type crafts or programs to add something like this. And like if you're doing a fan con or anything like that, what a cool, fun, easy, inexpensive program. Huge squishy paint bag. Who wouldn't want to roll around on that? I would like you to note that these are not small children that are playing with this in this photo, because it's for making art is fun for all ages. You can do a different one every week and display the art that was created. You can do it for individual programs. Um, I I just think it's fun. Summer reading is about fun. Let's have some fun. Painter tape maze and DIY cars. Again, I love this idea of like easy but also fun. You make the cars, or if you have your own cars, that's fine too. And then work together to build a maze or have the maze built in ahead of time and have the kids roll their cars through the maze. Super fun, super cute. I love these little peekaboo puzzles. This is meant to be a project, a craft project for adults, which I think is brilliant. But I also think that you could take this concept and make things for story time, make things for the play area in your library. You can put art from the summer in there. You can put pictures of places in the library, or you can do it as a project where people come in and make a lovely gift for someone in their life. Both exciting and absolutely, um, the word just went out of my mouth. Fabulous, wonderful. I'm using the same words over and over again. Please excuse me, but they're real and they're from the heart. We had this tic-tac-toe as a make and take at the Illinois Library Association conference, and they flew, and people were so excited about them. You can also do this. There's a couple of other tic-tac-toe-y type games in the resource guide. You can do it within Altoids tin and buttons. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, but making a fun little portable tic-tac-toe game is really easy. It doesn't require a lot of materials. It's really inexpensive and fun to do. A video game thaumatrope. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I was trying to get an image um, of it actually in in action, in spinning. But the concept is that you take those strings and you spin it, and then you pull it and it spins, and it's spinning fast enough that it looks like Mario is coming in and out of the pipe. So cool, cool stem, cool old-timey toy and game. Really fun. In program printouts is a Globetrotter Gordon. This is like a flat Stanley. You can hand them out and have people take photos with them throughout the summer at the pool, on trips, on road trips, whatever, and send them back to the library. You can have every business in town color one that aligns with their business and do kind of a community scavenger hunt with them. The possibilities are endless, super fun. And so Globetrot with Gordon. Bibliographies and other resources. This is one of those hidden gems that I wanted to make sure you're aware of. Are there book lists? Heck yeah, there are book lists. There's information for book discussions and story times. There's a whole list of just cookbooks that are game related, which would make a fun display or a fun list for your website. Um, you can do so much with just the book lists that are in there. Are there nonfiction book lists? You know that there are. Do the book lists have everything from baby to adult? Heck yeah, they do. There are also lists of coding resources. So if you want to start a coding club or you want to do a coding program, there are music playlists. There's really fun lists in there about like 8-bit music, lists that are already done and ready for you to use. So you can have them on in the background in a program. You can have them as people are coming in, all of that other fun stuff. There's binge box lists in there of how to start a binge box collection if you don't have one of those circulating in your library. There's game lists, so many great game lists. A lot of them are games that you might not be familiar with that would be great for libraries. There's 3D printing lists. So game pieces, full games that you can print, all kinds of different things that you can do with 3D printing around games and puzzles. There's a list of Switch co-op games. So if you want to do some video game programming and you want to know which Switch games are best to play cooperatively as kids come in, we got you covered. Interactive and activity book games that are great for displays or for having in programs. And then we also have a bunch of Spanish language resources that include books as well as games that are available in both English and Spanish. So much good stuff there. Don't sleep on the bibliographies section. I know that it's tempting to be like, I'm a librarian, I know how to make a book list, but take a peek. You might find that there's something in there that surprises and delights you. This is a good time to remind you that we are currently asking for submissions for the resource guide for 2026, Plant to Seed, Read, Farm to Table. We would love to have your thoughts, your ideas, your brilliance as a part of our resource guide. So please, 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 if you've done a program, if you've been thinking about a program, we would love to hear about it. Please submit it. You can find that on the website um, at the link below. But also if you go to resources at ireadprogram.org and find summer 2026 Plant a Seed Read, you will find the information you need there. I wanted to remind you that we are on social media, but particularly I wanted to point you toward the Facebook group. We do a group for every summer and people can share ideas. If you feel like you're stuck on something, you can go to that group and be like, hey, I need one more decoration idea. I need one more story time idea. What is everybody doing with their 3 to 5s? Whatever the case may be. And then Pinterest, we have a 2025 Pinterest page. If you really wanted to focus on the video game side of this theme and this program, that's a great place. We are slightly limited because of copyright as to what we can include in the resource guide, but Pinterest doesn't have those same restrictions in terms of sharing. So there's a lot of really cool life-size video game stuff on our Pinterest page, as well as additional crafts and ideas there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and I am going to, oh my gosh. Heck yeah. Look at all this. Okay. So I'm going to zoom. I'm going to zoom through. Um, One, are the webinars saved so that we can refer to them later? Yes, in 2 places. You will receive an email with a link to the recording and the slides later this week. It is also, there's a page on the iREAD website under resources that's called Learning Opportunities. As the recordings become available, I am putting them there. Thank you for Tam. Dude, the Delt Hand in Iowa, I wish they were a national organization. I had the great pleasure of meeting them when I was at YS PopCon. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. If you are in Iowa, it is an amazing resource. They will come to your library, they will bring games, they will teach people how to play the games. They're really reasonably priced. But I want to say that there are a lot of gaming stores, local indie gaming stores that would love to work with libraries. So reach out to your local gaming stores and say, like, sometimes they'll be willing to have folks come and run D&D. Sometimes they'll have folks come and teach Magic the Gathering. Sometimes they'll have folks come out and teach board games. Work with your local game store. It's so great. Oh, Life Size Clue with your teens. Yay. Scavenger hunts, can't beat them. Oh yeah. Now's the time to do celebrity game face. Um oh, guess that Pokemon would work so well with the zoom in. Love that. Um Pizza boxes for tic-tac-toe is a great idea. I love that. They're also a great idea for a board game box. So if you're doing the build your own board games, going to the local pizza place and having that like self-contained foldable pizza box, such a great idea. Oh, it's truly my pleasure, Patty Hayward. Thank you so much. Um, any other questions, thoughts, ideas, anything else that I can help you all with when it comes to this? This is really the time, you all, to take a moment. I know that like this time of year, like, late in December, early January tends to be um sometimes a little bit quieter, or there's like points where it's really, really busy and then it gets quiet. Um, it's a great time to sit down with that resource guide and just skim through it. There is so much stuff in there, and I know this resource guide is twice as big as our resource guides usually are, so there is so much in there. And like really, I did a deep dive, but this is just skimming the surface of all of the things that are available in that resource guide. So please, please, please take time with it. You have, oh, I'm so excited for iRead 2025 too, you all. I can't wait to see what you all do. Email me if you have any questions or there's anything I can do to support you. Come to the other webinars. We would love, love, love to have you. Thank you so much. We're so excited. I think it's going to be a great summer. Please, please send me your photos and your everything great that you're doing next summer. I really would love to see them at iRead at ila.org. Again, thank you all for your time and your attention. And it's been a real pleasure to spend an hour with you this afternoon. And yay! Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.